Welcome to the F1Stop show. I'm your host, Sam Oney, and this is episode 21. With me is Wes Fitman. Wes, how are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Enjoying the slightly cooler weather this week after the heat wave that we had over the last couple of weeks. And enjoyed a pretty decent French Grand Prix as well. Yeah, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. A change of scenery, not in my usual home. That's why, because I'm currently in Birmingham to cover the Commonwealth Games, which I'm really excited about. Very excited. Gonna see some sports, some swimming, athletics, and should be a good show for two
Some
weeks.
cricket as well.
Some cricket as well, yes. Some T20 cricket, yes. Right then. So, uh, the weekend just gone. We had the French Grand Prix, and another wonderful weekend. As look, if you're a Mercedes, Red Bull, and maybe a McLaren fan as well, if you're any of those, but if you're a Ferrari fan, then this episode is probably not for you. Any Ferrari fans around here? No? Alright, I think
I'm
we're
not.
good. Alright, let's jump into it then. Let's jump into it then. So, Max Verstappen, he won the French Grand Prix, picking up his 27th win of his Formula One career, overtaking Sir Jackie Stewart. Well, what do you make of it? I thought it was just a clean sweep, to be fair. Nobody touched him. Quite a dominant Max race. Get it? Dominant Max race. Oh, great. Where's
Um,
what are your take? What's your thoughts?
yeah, I mean, as you said, no one really touched him for that second half. Well, I say second half. It was sort of from lap 18, 19 onwards. Once Leclerc was out of his own doing, Verstappen just sailed off into the wind, and I think there was like a 10-second gap between him and Hamilton on the last lap, which is quite some margin in F1. Um, he's just been so dominant throughout the season ever since the first sort of few races, the first 3 or 4 races when Red Bull had their reliability issues. He's just been on a whole other level really, and he's so far ahead in the championship now. He's 63 points ahead of Charles Leclerc on 233, Leclerc on 170. And he's 70 points ahead of his teammate, for crying out loud. So it just goes to show how dominant Max has been, not just over the last sort of handful of weekends, but throughout the whole season. Obviously, besides the first 2 or 3, as I say, with reliability issues and what have you, but just another completely dominant performance, as you say.
And when you look at it, how would you sum up Max's season so far? If you had to just like one word to summarize Max's season so far.
Probably dominant, to be fair. I mean, he's lost only a handful of races, and we're 13 races into the season now, something like that. He must have only lost about 5 or 6. Leclerc's won 2. Sainz won 1? No, Sainz hasn't won one yet, has he? No, he has. He won. Oh, when was it? Yeah, of course it was. Yeah, Silverstone. Mercedes haven't won one, so yeah, he's only lost 5 races out of 13, which is quite something. And yeah, he retired in the opening Grand Prix. I think the 3rd race as well. But yeah, besides that, he's just been as you said, just completely dominant and on a completely other level to the other driver. As I say, 63 points ahead of Leclerc, 70 ahead of Perez, 89 ahead of Sainz for the sort of main challenges, if you like. Yeah, just dominant to answer your question.
Yeah, and see, here's the part that Ferrari fans don't want to hear. And I told you, if you're a Ferrari fan, then this episode is probably not for you because Verstappen's title rival, Charles Leclerc, he didn't have the best race in Paul Ricard at all. I mean, lap 18, he went in really hard on the corner and he spun off track into the barriers. So personally, I thought he went in too hard on the brakes, causing him to go off into the runoff area into the brakes. Would you say it was a silly mistake? Others are saying that he's gone a bit too hard on himself, judging by his reaction.
I mean, it's most certainly a mistake. It is down to driver error. You could possibly argue that his tyres were quite worn. I think he was coming towards the end of the pit window for the mediums. I think it was lap 18 he crashed in the pit window. I think it was something like lap 13 to 17 or something. So you could argue that maybe the tyres were a factor, but for a driver of Charles Leclerc's skill, it was 100% down to, or 90%, 10% tyres, down to driver error, because he went into the corner absolutely fine and then maybe just went a bit too wide, got on the paint, if you like, and as you say, lit the rears up and spun into the barriers. And for someone of his quality, he's made mistakes a couple times this season. He made one in Imola, which caused him to lose at least a podium, drop down to like 6th place or something, and handed Verstappen the win as well. I saw something, I think it was from Motorsport or Autosport, saying that he's lost, I think it's 75 points, either through driver error or mechanical failure or strategy or just stuff like that. He's lost 75 points, which when you look at the championship, when he's 63 points behind Verstappen now, is a huge run. So potentially he could be leading the championship in an alternate universe. But yeah, I think he owned up to it in the sort of post-match, whatever interview, saying that it was a mistake, and I think he also said that he just wants to be alone right now, which I don't blame him, because he's going to have he's going to go away and have some alone time and just sort of recompose himself, if you like, before we go to Budapest this weekend. If I was Charles, I'd probably just give him some space at the moment, especially after his crash last weekend.
Well, it wasn't the best race for Charles Leclerc, as mentioned, and Carlos Sainz, his teammate, having strategy troubles. Going for the two-stop, then switching from plan A to plan D, or plan A to plan B, and back to plan A, then to plan D. You're wondering what happened to plan C and what's with all the changes, and the next minute he's wheel to wheel with Sergio Perez in the Red Bull, and then for some reason his Ferrari mechanics won't call for him to come to the pits. It's all a bit muddled up.
Yeah, it was slightly laughable in the end, I think, because I think the main strategy was for pretty much all the teams was a one-stop, just because the pit lane in at Paul Ricard is so long and so slow. I don't know if the speed limit's slightly slower to other tracks, but certainly the pit lane is very, very long, so it takes a bit longer to actually make a pit stop. I think like 27, 28 seconds you lost just under normal racing conditions if you make a pit stop, which is obviously a huge amount of time. That's a third of a lap, close to half a lap maybe. But yeah, I mean, how Ferrari sort of messed around with Sainz, given he was the only car left in the race, they could sort of put all their efforts into him, and maybe they put too much effort, if you like, because obviously you start on plan A, then I think about halfway into the race they said I'll switch to plan B, and then after not many laps at all, only like 3-4 laps, they said I'll switch to plan B, whatever that may be. I assume a two-stop or something slightly different strategy-wise, and then they went back to plan A, and then they switched to plan D when he was catching Perez, which was quite confusing. Then when Sainz did get sort of DRS range with Perez and able to race wheel to wheel, which he did do for the last few corners of whatever lap it was, pretty much as soon as he was going round the last corner, literally wheel to wheel with Sergio Perez, had a message over the team radio saying, "Right, box now, box now, Carlos," and he was just like, "Not now," which I can completely understand. You're racing Perez for position, albeit on worn tyres. Yeah, but I think Perez was also on tyres of similar condition on the hards. It was just a bit of quite a mess for Ferrari, I think, and their strategy has not been great this year, I don't think, and it's been the sort of usual memes of Ferrari mechanics in clown faces sitting on the pit carriage, which I've seen going around. Yeah, if Ferrari want to get back on their sort of title challenge, if you like, with both drivers and constructors, then I mean, you need the drivers not to make mistakes. First of all, you need the car to be reliable as well, which it has been for the most part of the season for Ferrari. But you need the strategy to work as well. You need to not mess the drivers around. We're putting them on different strategies at different times in the race when there's really no need, I think. Whether Sainz's tyres could have made it to the end of the Grand Prix, I don't know. But yeah, for him to overtake Perez and then pit pretty much I think it was the next lap, sort of like, well, what was the point of that battle, if you like? Because he's lost even more time battling Perez that he could have made up for had he made the pit stop on that lap or the lap before or something. Yeah, Ferrari not doing too well on the strategy front this season and other seasons as well. But yeah, it's a pretty poor showing from them, I think, last weekend.
Indeed, and Hungary in Hungary the following weekend will be another opportunity for Ferrari to maybe get their act together. Mercedes, on the other hand, they had a very good weekend. Hamilton, the French Grand Prix was his 300th race of his career. Wow, 300 races. Well, that's what 15 years of experience does to you. 300 races. Well, I thought it'd be more, but 300 races it is. And he celebrated that with a second place finish. Although, the Silver Arrows are still looking for that race win, that first race win of 2022. And if this second place win by Hamilton is anything to go by, then I don't see why they can't win a race this season. And to add even more sugar to the tea, I'm sorry. George Russell joined him on the podium with a third place finish, and the manner in which he did that was extraordinary. Well, pretty good, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's easily Mercedes' best weekend of the season. Their first double podium of the year. I think it's a fifth career podium for Russell. His fourth with Mercedes. Yeah, as you say, Hamilton second place in his 300th Grand Prix, which I think it's either Kimi Raikkonen or Rubens Barrichello who's got the most race starts. Yeah, Hamilton isn't too far behind, I don't think. And I think actually going into the weekend, one of the journalists or so asked Hamilton whether he'd be racing in 5-10 years time, and he just looked at them quite surprised because he's 36, 37 now. So I'd like to see him racing at 47. That'd be quite something. Maybe 42. Like I think Kimi Raikkonen was around about that age when he called it quits. But yeah, for anyone to get 300 race starts, I mean, for anyone to get 50 race starts is pretty good. But yeah, for Hamilton to get 300 is something altogether. Yeah, as I say, excellent result for Mercedes, and as you say, Russell overtaking Perez sort of pretty much as the virtual safety car ended. I think it was Guan Yu Zhou brought out the VSC with 4 or 5 laps to go or something. There was a bit of confusion between the two of them because I think they both tried to go too early. Whilst it said VSC ending, but they hadn't got the green flag yet, but they both went for it. And then, Russell caught Perez napping a little bit. He had a better reaction once the green flag did drop. He made it pretty easily, I think. It took him a second or two to get past Perez once they had that green flag again. Perez he wasn't really able to fight back much at all, whether it's tyres or car or driver or whatever. Great result for Mercedes, and we go into Hungary next week, which is, I think Hamilton's got about 8 or 9 wins there. He's tied for his most successful track in F1. So I don't see any reason why Mercedes can't put together another weekend like they did in France. If they're going to Hungary, a track, as I say, that's been strong for them in the past, and hopefully for Ferrari, Charles Leclerc won't make the same mistake he did in France, but I have to wait and see.
Indeed. So with everything that we've witnessed in at the Paul Ricard circuit, how would you rate the race?
I think it was a decent race. I wouldn't say it was overly exciting. I can still probably give it a 7 because there were moments of action in there. Obviously Leclerc's crash, the battle between Sainz and Perez at the end. You had Sainz sort of siding his way through the grid from 20th into 5th place. And the McLaren's in the mix as well. It lacked something. Like a battle for the lead, for example, with Leclerc and Verstappen would have put it up a notch or two, but 7 out of 10. It was still decent. It was still entertaining race, and there was some good racing in there as well, but nothing overly exciting, I think.
Yeah. I think I agree with everything but you said, but probably the score, the rating, I'd probably go one lower, probably like with a 6 out of 10. It had everything. Safety car. It had Charles Leclerc's, mistake, if you like. Max Verstappen was flawless. We had exciting on-track battle between Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc, and we got a double Mercedes podium, which was fantastic. But Paul Ricard is not really an exciting circuit when you look at it on the calendar. I mean, there's gossip as to whether we're going to see it again next year or in the future. Who knows? But I'd give it a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. So.
I think just on that, when I was watching the highlights back, and the commentator Alex Jake saying, "Oh, the senior corner, it's this other corner. I can't remember the name of it now. Began with an L, I think." I was just looking at the track, just thinking it all looks the same. There aren't really many. For me, as someone who's not familiar with the track, there aren't many sort of recognizable features to it. It's all just like you got the tarmac, you got the blue strips, you got the red strips, and there's no real I don't really recognise different parts of the track, whereas I would with something like Monza or Silverstone or Spa. It's a weird one because, as you say, it's not really a track that you look out for and think, I want to go there. There's going to be good racing there, but it provided a decent race in the end.
So, a 6 out of 10 for the Paul Ricard French Grand Prix. So that book is closed, and we've left France now. Now we're travelling to Hungary, to Budapest. How do you fancy a trip to Budapest, Wes?
I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, why not? All right then. So we virtually travelled to Hungary for the Hungarian Grand Prix this weekend, and it brings back good memories because last year we had a very chaotic race, I guess. I mean, what race when have you ever watched a race where you had just one driver restarting on the start finish line on his own while everyone else has just jumped in the pits? So Hungarian Grand Prix last year, 2021. Esteban Ocon was your surprise winner after leading from the race restart. I think he led like 30 something laps in a 65 race.
Possibly even more than that, I think, because as you say, Hamilton restarted the race on his own, but then he pitted it at the end of that lap or the lap after. And Ocon inherited the lead of the race after basically being first out of the pit lane.
Yeah.
I think, he led for most of the race, I think.
Yeah.
You had Hamilton, as I say, siving his way, working his way back through the grid to, I think, eventually finished P2 after Vettel was disqualified because of he couldn't supply enough fuel or something.
Which was bizarre.
And it also bumped up Sainz into P3 as well, if I remember rightly. As you say, last year was just chaotic and one of the more entertaining races of last season, just because it was pure chaos and madness. Because you had Bottas going bowling at the start, where he took out like 4 or 5 cars, including himself. You had Verstappen with damage. I think Ricciardo was involved in there somewhere.
Lance Stroll was in
Stroll, I think, yeah. But yeah, it was just complete, utter, as you say, chaos, madness, other words of the like. But yeah, I'm not sure we'll see something like this. Although I have heard that it might be raining for qualifying, which could spice things up a bit. Wet qualifying usually does. Again, Mercedes, as I said earlier, have always been so strong around Hungary, Hamilton in particular. But also, new year, new regulations. Can they do it again this year?
Who knows? Who knows? So let's get these predictions out of the way then. So, right, who's going to be your race winner? Who's going to be your pole sitter? And how do you see the top 10 finishers then?
Top 10, blimey. I reckon race winner. Actually, I'll do race winner last because that includes in the top 10.
Okay.
Pole sitter. I'm going to go Perez.
Okay.
For no real reason. I don't know. I just think he's a track that suits him. I don't know his stats at Hungary, but I can just see Red Bull being quite strong this weekend. I predicted Ferrari to have a strong weekend in France, and I got that completely wrong. Me saying Perez will get pole, Verstappen win the race, and I'll probably both DNF at this rate with my predictions. Perez for pole position. I'll go from 10th to 1st at the top 10.
Okay.
I'll go Ricciardo P10. Not a strong points finish for McLaren, but a point nonetheless. Bottas P9. Norris P8. Who am I missing? I'm just trying to think of the midfield teams now. Just trying to think where I can go. Alpine have had a strong season. They're now 4th in the constructors, so I'll probably put. I'm just trying to think. Can I fit the 6 main drivers of your Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes in? Where have I got to? P8. I'll go Alonso P7. I'll go Leclerc P6. A bit harsh, I know. Russell P5. Sainz P4. Oh, I'm missing someone. Hang on, I've got my maps all wrong, I think. I'm going to have to go from the top down now.
You said P6 would be Charles Leclerc.
P6 Charles Leclerc, P5. Who did it say for P5? Russell, I think. Trying to figure what drivers I've got left. P4 Sainz. P3 Perez, P2 Hamilton, P1 Verstappen. There we go.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Now,
Can't count backwards.
Right. We always have good chats about our top 10s or top 5s or whatnot, but Charles Leclerc for P6.
Yeah.
Is there a reason behind that?
Possible. Well, I mean, it probably largely influenced by his mistake in France, I think. And will he have the confidence to bounce back from that? Because he looked pretty distraught with obviously that mistake and a DNF losing out on another potential 25 points. Then who knows, that might just spur him on even more. That might really give him some fire to think, right, now I really do need to get my head down now and not make any more mistakes. But yeah, I don't know. I think for the way Ferrari have been this season they've not been at their strongest, particularly over the last sort of few weekends. Well, I'd say the last 2 weekends, but last couple, if you like. I don't know. It probably is a bit harsh, but the way Leclerc is driven, I know he did get that win in. Oh, when was it? I can't remember now. It was before Silverstone, that one, I think.
Baku?
No, I can't.
I want to say Baku, but I think that's a bit.
It might have been Baku, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was Canada. It was somewhere around then. I can't remember. Yeah, since then I don't know. As I say, he's largely influenced on France, but I mean, he could win the race for all I know. He could bounce back incredibly, but yeah, Charles Leclerc and Ferrari not in the good books at the moment.
No? Okay. Fair enough then. Wow, Charles Leclerc for P6. What do you know? I might be worse, but okay. Right. Spoiler, my top 10 is gonna probably chuck in probably one or two names that you think are not really gonna be in the top 10 or wouldn't usually be in the top 10. So, pole sitter. Pole sitter. You know what? Let's go Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen for pole sitter. I mean, he's been flying all season. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like, all right then. Remember me when I say this. I think if Max Verstappen wins the championship, I think it will be more than 15 points gap between him and second place. Remember me when I say that. So, where was I? Max Verstappen for pole sitter, race winner. You know what? I think Max Verstappen will do it again. So, race winner, Max Verstappen. Right, top 10. I think I'm gonna go from I'll go from 10 to 1. So, 10th place. I don't know. 10th place. I think Danny Ricciardo. He hasn't had the best season. There's talk of him, leaving the sport. I don't think that's true. I think he still has a lot to give. I just feel that when he becomes more consistent, he will start turning heads. People will start putting faith in him. So yeah, 1 point for Daniel Ricciardo. P9. I'm gonna say Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri. He's had an all right season. All right season. You know what? I would say Guan Yu Zhou, but I just thought, you know what? Let's see what Yuki can do, and yeah. P8. P8. Valtteri Bottas in Hungary. Hopefully there's no repeat of a first lap crash, but yeah. P8 for Bottas. P7. I'm gonna say, P7. I'll be leaving out a lot of midfielders after this one. Esteban Ocon, perhaps, didn't have the best French Grand Prix, I must say, but Esteban Ocon, he won it last year. Chances of him doing it again, it's gonna have to be like another red flag and restart. So P7 for Ocon. P6. I don't know. P6. I'm gonna say. Oh, this is tricky. P6. I'm gonna say George Russell. P5. Carlos Sainz. P4. Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, I think that's right. P4 Lewis Hamilton. Third place. Hmm. This is, I don't know.
It's tricky.
I don't know now. What is it? P3, third place.
P3, yeah. And you've already got Verstappen as your number one, so
Yeah.
it's your P2 and 3.
Right. P3. Sergio Perez. And P2. Hmm. This is I'm probably going to take a huge gamble on this, but I thought, you know what, let's shake it up a bit. P2, let's put in, oh, you know, I can't not, oh, you know what, oh, I don't know. You know what, let's just put
Where's this
Charles
going?
Leclerc in. Yeah, let's just go Charles Leclerc for P2. I was going to say somebody like Fernando Alonso, but that's a huge shout. That's like a Leicester City winning the Premier League at a 5,000 to 1. Not saying that Alonso's, you know, not
Oh,
going to get a
it's
podium.
happened before.
It's
It
happened
could happen
before,
again.
yeah, but yeah, but yeah, Charles Leclerc P2, and then Max Verstappen taking a race win. So almost there, almost there. Just quickly, Haas are bringing in some new upgrades, but only for Kevin Magnussen. I think that could mean a possible back of the grid start for the Danish driver.
I don't think so. He's not taking any sort of new engine parts or anything. But I think earlier in the season, Williams brought some upgrades to the car, but it was only Alex Albon who got that upgrade just because of a lack of parts, and it's a similar thing here. So yeah, after a poor weekend for Haas, I think one of them retired and the other one finished last or second to last in the race. Yeah, it'd be good. I mean, they've had points. They've scored points at various Grand Prix this weekend, so it'd be good to see them score some more points again in Hungary. But yeah, I mean, for it to be only going on one car is a bit disappointing, but you can sort of understand it given Haas and Williams are pretty much the two poorest teams in F1, so you can understand why. I mean, they've given it to Magnussen as well, the more experienced driver, and who's got more points than one in the championship. So I can understand that, but it's good they're getting upgrades of any sort, I suppose. And if it does help them climb a few places up the field, then so be it. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Magnussen performs compared to Schumacher out in Hungary.
Indeed, yep. So the Hungarian Grand Prix is this weekend, and well, this has been a F1 Stop Show episode. We hope you've enjoyed it. I've been your host Sam Oni, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and you can also email us at f1stopshow@gmail.com. So, it's a goodbye from me, bye bye, and it's a goodbye from Wes,
Bye bye.
and we hope you enjoyed the Hungarian Grand Prix this weekend.